So the last section of statistics, what we are going to study is frequency. So a frequency is the number of times a value of the data occurs. So for example, the 20 students were asked how many hours they worked per day. So their responses in hours are as follows. So you can see the number of data is repeated. So we will write the values here, and how many times it is repeated, we will write it here. So how many times it's repeated is your frequency. So that means that there are 3 students who worked for 2 hours. There are 5 students who worked for 3 hours. There are 3 students who worked for 4 hours. And in total, if you add, so there are 20 students. So you can add the frequency. So it will be the total number of data given, which is 20. So the next is relative frequency. So relative frequency is the percentage of the current frequency out of the total frequency. So the current frequency, relative frequency for the current one is current frequency divided by the total frequency, which is 20 students. So 3 out of 20, which is 0.15, or you can say 15%. 5 out of 20, and that is 25%. 3 out of 20, which is again 15%. 6 out of 20, which is 30%. Right, so we can calculate the relative frequency by the current frequency divided by the total number of frequencies. Cumulative relative frequency is the current frequency, addition of the current frequency plus the previous all frequencies. For example, for this one, so it is 0.15 and there is no previous one, so the final value is 0.15. The second one, it is 0.25 plus 0.15, which is zero point 0.4. For the third one, it is third plus second plus first. So 0.15 plus 0.25 plus 0.415, which is 0.55. And like that, we can calculate the cumulative relative frequency. So let's see then example how to solve this. So use the heights of 100 male semi-professional soccer players in the following table. Fill in the blanks and check your answers. So you can see here it's given height and frequency. It is also given relative frequency and cumulative relative frequency, but we'll see how to calculate that first. So, and then we will answer this question. So we have the given data here, and first we will calculate the relative frequency here. So we will calculate the relative frequency. The relative frequency can be calculated as the current one, so is equal to the current value and divided by the total value, which is 100, so 0.05, and then again we can calculate as current value divided by the total value, which is 100, and so on. We can calculate all the values. So we can just drag this one till the end and it will calculate for all. So for calculating the cumulative frequencies, this one is the same, which is 0.05. The first one. Second one is the addition of the current one plus the previous addition, right? So we can add this plus the previous addition, which is this one. So this is the value for the second one. And for the third one, so we can calculate this one plus second plus first. So second and first is already calculated. So we can just add the previous one here. So it will give you the result of addition of third plus second plus first. Same way for the fourth one, if we calculate the current one plus the previous one. So previous one, this 0.23 is the addition of third plus first plus second. So we can click this and that will give you. and then you can just drag and it will calculate. How you will understand that you calculate it correctly is cumulative frequency when you are adding this. So it should, the last one, you should get it as 1. And if you add all the relative frequency, the total value should be equal to 1. So addition of all the relative frequencies should be equal to 1. Okay, so now we are ready to answer all the questions. So let's see what are the questions here. The percentage of heights that are from 67.95 to 71.95 inches. So 67.95 to 71.95. So that means the addition of these two relative frequencies, so which is 17% plus 12%, which is 29%. So the first answer will be 29%. The second one, the percentage of heights that are from 67.95 to 73.95 inches, which means that here 67.95 to 73.95, that is addition of all these, that is 29% plus 7%, which is 36%. Addition of all those three, it is your 36%. Third one, the percentage of heights that are more than 65.95 inches is. So more than 65.95 means this all addition of all these, which is more than 65.95 till 75.95. So you can add all the percentage. So these three we already added, which has 36% and plus 40%, which is 76 and 77%. So for the third one, it is 77%. Fourth one, the number of players in the sample who are between 61.95 and 71.95 inches tall is. So 61.95 to 71.95. So these are the number of players. So you can add all these, and that is the total number of players, which is in total 87 players. And lastly, what kind of data are the heights? So height gives you the values, that is 67.95, 69.95. So it is not expressed by words or sentences. So therefore it is your quantitative data, and also you cannot count. So all the measurements, because height comes under the measurements, so any measurements will always be continuous. So it is your continuous quantitative data. Okay, so the next one is for you to calculate. The following table contains the number of deaths worldwide as a result of earthquakes from the period from 2000 to 2012. Answer the following questions. So before answering the questions, so you will look into the table. So this is the table given, years and number of deaths, and you will create a frequency table. That means this is the frequency given, so you will create the relative frequency and the cumulative frequency before answering any of these questions. So I would like all of you to pause this video and create your own and try to answer your own, and then see if your answer matches with the correct answers or not. So to calculate the relative frequency, if you remember, so is equal to the current one divided by the total value, so which is 823,856, and we will drag till the end, so it will calculate for all. And for cumulative frequency, So it is equal to the first one, it is the same, so 0.00028. The second one is the addition of the current one plus the previous one. So, and if you drag till the end, so the last value should be equal to 1. So it is not 1 because it has more decimal place. So I can reduce the number of decimal place and you can get it 1. Right, and if you add this also, so it will be equal to 1. Now we have all the data and we are ready to answer all the questions. So what is the frequency of deaths measured from 2006 through 2009? So for that, we can calculate here is equal to sum, and from 2006 to 2009, we will add the number of deaths and we can close the bracket. So this is the number of deaths from 2006 to 2009. Second one, what percentage of deaths occurred after 2009? So for that, we will add all all the relative frequency after 2009, and we will calculate the total values and convert it to percentage. So that is this times 100, right? So this percentage, 41.83% of the deaths are after 2009. Third one, what is the relative frequency of deaths that occurred in 2003 or earlier? So for that, we will add all the relative frequencies from 2003 or earlier. So relative frequencies of right from the beginning till 2003. So we will add all, and that is the addition, so which is 0.081. So I will leave the other two for you to work out and find the percentage of deaths that occurred in 2004, and also what kind of data do you think are the number of deaths.